came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, but I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucs winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Aaron Rodgers and his people were like, they listened to our episode and they said, hold our cheesehead or coat.
Donovan Mitchell, who right now looks to be a superstar.
Just amazing. And I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Yeah, that's not just the Chiefs. That's Andy Reid. He knows the defenses so well because he's such a great offensive mind.
Well, you said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life.
It just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up. And when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets. Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's 2 of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year, and they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to the Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week for September 12th. Today, we will be talking about, we will rank the teams into tiers on what they are fighting for. But let's first talk about that. This is not surprising. Giants and Dodgers are the first teams to clinch a playoff spot. Surprising if we were at the beginning of the year, as the Giants we had them in both on the same spot, and that was above the Rockies in their division. And that is going to be a fun review of our predictions whenever we get to it. So, Dodgers, not surprising, because you have Scherzer, who has just played incredible. He's played incredible the whole season, but after the trade, he has just continued to do well, and he reached 3,000 strikeouts. So that's quite an accomplishment. And then you, of course, have Turner with the Dodgers, as they just have an incredible lineup that is costing them a lot of money. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, wow. I've been really, really impressed by the Dodgers. I honestly think they're the best team in the league still. And it shows how they've been dominating the Padres in each of the 2 games in their series. They beat them, I think, 7-0 and then 6-1. I mean, it's not really all that close, and the Padres were supposed to be much better than them this season. Obviously, the Dodgers have everybody and their mom on their team, so they're spending a lot of money on it. So they should be this good, and they are. I've really been impressed by Scherzer, and that's hard to say because Scherzer has really high standards for his play, but he's outperformed them. So I'm excited to see how the playoffs go, and these are my 2 front runners for the World Series.
Yes, I do agree with that as well. Let's move on to the Mariners versus Red Sox series, which is tied at 1-1. The last game of the series is today. How does this, by today we mean September 15th? So let us know what you think. What do you think, Austin, about this series?
Yeah, right now the Red Sox are up 3-0 at the top of the second, so they could win this series. But if they do, I do think that really does put a damper on the chances that the Mariners have making the playoffs. But if the Mariners end up winning this game and the Blue Jays, who are right now up 4-1 against the Rays, start to falter, or the Yankees, I could see the Mariners sneaking in. But this is definitely a big series.
Yeah, I do agree. Bigger of a series for Mariners.
I would say both because the Red Sox are still technically out of a playoff spot right now.
And you have to fight with the Blue Jays and Yankees, but also the Mariners. Like, you have to win this. So I don't.
A lot of desperation.
Yeah, it's great to see. Maybe they could. I'm gonna beat you to the punch on this one. Maybe having a good reliever could help the Mariners, like Kendall Graveman.
Last night, it was 2-2, and then the Red Sox scored 6 in the last 2 innings.
And speaking
and it
of
ended
trade,
up 8-4.
Speaking of trades, the Kyle Schwarber experiment, I did not see it, but I heard about how he played first base and maybe actually trading for a first baseman like Rizzo, maybe CJ Crone could have helped them uh, more than
earlier.
trading for Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
But
He did
that's
have a
just,
big hit last night, so
yeah,
he
he's an
is playing well,
excellent
but he was a
hitter.
pinch hitter. He's a
He's
pinch
an
hitter,
excellent
so
hitter. It's just defensively, where do you put him? Because your DH is Martinez.
and
JD
he
Martinez
already
is.
can't play defense.
So that's the main thing that I have with the Schwarber. But let's now move on to another key series, and that is the Cardinals versus Padres. That is coming up. I Does this decide who makes playoffs? I would say yes, because you were telling me how the Padres have such an incredibly hard schedule coming up. Cardinals, it's desperation for both teams because if the Padres get knocked out, if they lose to the Cardinals, it's going to be bad for them. It's since they have wasted so much, not wasted, but they used a lot of their prospects to get some big name players, like we have talked about. Tatis has been injured. Blake Snell is starting to heat up though, but
Well, he got hurt again. He was
oh, he
out
got hurt.
after 11 pitches.
Wow.
So injuries are
So
running rampant.
yeah. So the Cardinals is also a big thing, um, as it is such a hard. There's only one wild card spot because
The other two
Giants
are
or
clinched.
Dodgers are gonna take one. One of those teams are gonna be in one of those spots. So it's just difficult, and that's what I have to say. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily if this decides the playoff spot because I think the Padres miss it, even if they win the series 2-1, just because of how hard their schedule is. But if they do end up sweeping it, I believe they have a chance. The Cardinals, on the other hand, if they just win the series 2-1, they're up 2 games over the Padres, and I don't think the Padres have the facilities in their last couple of games to come back, especially all the teams they're playing against. They have a series against the Cardinals, a series against the Giants, again, a series versus the Dodgers, and then a series versus. Let me fact check this right now. Yeah, so they have a series versus the Cardinals, series versus the Giants, a series versus the Braves, and then a series versus the Dodgers. So really, really tough schedule, and if they don't sweep this series, I really think they're out.
Yeah. Now 16 to 18 games left in the season for all the teams. Now we'll rank them into six categories. Yes, that is six categories. Yes, or actually, yeah,
Yeah,
six
it's six.
categories.
It's six.
Yeah. League's best record, securing division, um, making the playoffs, prospect growth, first pick, and then abyss. So let's go with league's best record. You'll go, and then I'll go, and we'll just repeat that process.
So this is what each team is fighting for. I believe that there are currently 3 teams that are fighting for the best record. Even though the Rays aren't really fighting because they don't really have anyone contending, but there are the Rays, Giants, and Dodgers. And league's best record does not mean MLB; it means their personal league. But they're up by so much right now. I don't see them faltering.
Yeah, I agree. Giants, Dodgers, Rays. It's just incredible what the Rays are doing. Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember the pitcher who's like 31, um, has been optioned 21 times this season. Let me see if
Trying
I
to
can.
think of the guy. Is it Is it a starter?
No, it's a reliever.
Okay.
Let me pull this up. Where is this? Um, so that's just incredible. They lost Wander Franco came up. Um, they also have not called up Baez, and they lost Tyler Glass now. I'm trying to pull up this tweet of who I remember tweeting it out. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah. So there's gonna be no way that they can call up Baez now because the call up window's already passed. So they're running with their team right now, and I'm really excited to see how the Rays perform. Nelson Cruz has been a great hitter his entire career, and he's starting to heat up with the Rays, so they're going to be dangerous. Uh, but I think we can move on to the next tier, securing the division. These are teams that are fighting for the division. Not necessarily have to be ahead, but are fighting for it. I have the Brewers, White Sox, Astros, Braves, and Phillies. I think the Phillies still have a chance of winning the AL East, and I do not think the Mets do. So, uh, because of this, I'm not going to have any of these teams in making the playoffs because they're fighting to secure their division. And I believe the Phillies are still have that in mind that they're going to try to win the division. While the Mets, I don't think are there. But yeah, so my teams are Brewers, White Sox, Astros, Braves, Phillies.
Okay, I have Braves, Brewers, White Sox, Astros, Phillies, and the Mets because I think it's pretty wide open with all those three teams in the NL East. So it'll be interesting to see with the White Sox how they're doing, and then the Astros as maybe the Mariners go on a run, and the Astros did lose to the Texas Rangers last night, 8-1, I'm pretty sure. So if they falter again against the Rangers, that could affect maybe the Mariners make an incredible run. But let's move on to making the playoffs. I will go with Reds, Padres, Cardinals, Blue Jays, Mariners, Athletics, Red Sox, and the Yankees. Um, Mariners making the playoffs just because of the wild card spot. And then, of course, I have Blue Jays, Red Sox, Yankees fighting for the playoff spot because they're definitely not going to win the division. And then Athletics, I think they still have a chance, even though it's tough for them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so my team's making the playoffs is the goal. That is what they're fighting for. Cardinals, Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Mariners, Padres, Reds, Athletics, and Mets. I have Mets while you don't. It's the only team we really have different so far. I'm excited to see where how many teams you have in the abyss, which is they're not fighting for the number one pick. They're not fighting for a playoff spot. They don't really have prospects to grow. They're in the middle of nowhere in the abyss. The worst spot to be right now. But yeah, those are my teams fighting for the playoffs. Making the playoffs is their goal. I'm really excited to see which of the three AL East teams that are second through fourth make it. I'm assuming right now it's going to be Yankees and Blue Jays, especially because the Mariners didn't take advantage last night when they were tied 2-2. Their relief didn't really work out that well, and if they would have had Kendall Graveman, that may have turned out differently. But yeah, all these teams are fighting for the playoffs, and the playoffs for right now are their goal.
Now let's move to the category of prospect growth. Of course, I have the Texas Rangers as we've had some excellent prospect growth. Taylor Hearn, Leody Taveras, Glenn Otto. I'm sure you've heard of that name, Austin. He is automatic. And then AJ Alexi and other players. You, of course, have Adolis Garcia, who is tied with the Rangers record for 30 home runs. And he's probably not going to win AL Rookie of the Year because of the situation with Randy Arozarena and how he is still considered a rookie. And so I have Rangers, Tigers, Cleveland, Marlins, Cubs, Pirates, and Royals slip in there. What do you have?
Yeah, so I just have. So is Adolis Garcia 30 is the record for a rookie, right? That's the rookie Rangers record.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
My
okay,
apologies.
okay. Yeah, I'm like, there's no way 30 is the record for the Rangers. But my teams, I have a lot less than you. I have Rangers, Royals, Tigers, Miami, and Pirates. Those are my only teams that I have in prospect growth. Um, we're definitely gonna have. I'm definitely gonna have a lot more teams in the abyss than you are. But we can move on to first pick.
Yeah, we can. I have the Orioles and D-backs and the Diamondbacks. Um, that's really much it. I'm surprised you didn't have. I'll see where you mark Cleveland before I make it. Who are your teams?
So my teams in first pick are Diamondbacks and Baltimore, same as you. So those are the only teams that are really close. Technically, the Pirates and Rangers still have a chance, but really far out chance. So I don't have them here. I have them in prospect growth because they still have really good prospects. Both of them do. To Brian Hayes for the Pirates, and as you mentioned, all those guys for the Rangers. So there's a lot of guys growing on both of those teams. So they're definitely in prospect growth, not first pick. But Diamondbacks and Baltimore for first pick, as they're obviously the worst two teams in the league. Or
Yeah, it's
MLB,
really
yeah.
great to see all the prospect growth for the Rangers. Now let's go to Abyss. I'll say it first, and I'll leave you last. So I have Nationals, Rockies, Twins, and Angels. These are teams where they don't like some are close. You and I both had high hopes for the Twins, um, and I think we had high hopes for the Nationals. But you don't really know where they're going to go now. Rockies, you just have no idea because they didn't trade Trevor Story, so they couldn't get that prospect haul. Um, I'll let you talk now.
Yeah, if the Yankees or another team had traded for Trevor Story, we would definitely have them in prospect growth right now. They would not be in an abyss because they would have so many more prospects. But I have Twins, Angels, Indians, Nationals, Cubs, Rockies. For the Cubs and Indians, the Cubs still have guys like Jason Hayward, Wilson Contreras. They still have a lot of older guys on their team, especially in their pitching core. And while they do have Swindle, Patrick Wisdom, those are older prospects. Those guys are 29, 28, 30. They're older. So I don't see them in prospect growth. So, and with the Indians, while they do have some prospects, like that one outfielder, Miles Straw, who came from Houston, they have that great pitcher, what's his name? Tristan McKinney? I think that's his name. And
Yes, I
then
thought you were going to say Emmanuel Clase, and then I was about to give you a Destin Golaire.
yeah, but Tristan McKinney, he almost had a no hitter not too long ago, and yeah, they have some prospects, but Indians still have way too many of their older players like Jose Ramirez and Core that were major pieces for their 2016 run to the World Series, which they fell a game short. I mean, both Indians and Cubs played, and if we include the Nationals, that is three teams who've been to a World Series and within the last 5 years that have fallen off very, very harshly. In fact, all of these teams made the playoffs 3 years ago or earlier or sooner. Every team besides the Angels, who are really, in my opinion, if there was an abyss of the abyss, it's the Angels. They haven't made the playoffs since 2013, I believe, or 2014, and it really is a major issue for the Angels that they can't get consistent. Max Stassi's played well. They have David Fletcher. They have Shohei Ohtani. They have Mike Trout, even though he's hurt. They have a quality number of guys, but even though they drafted every single pick, picking up a pitcher, I still have no idea whether or not they're going to improve next year. That's really a sad sight.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and you're correct. They last made the playoffs in 2014. Now, little stat for me to quiz you on. They have been, so they've, in the total of their 59 seasons, how many times have they been in the playoffs?
14,
Lower.
11,
Close, but lower.
10.
Yes, 10 times. And when you have Shohei and Mike Trout, even though Mike Trout's battled injury, it's just sad to see what they do. Maybe they do better, maybe not. They also signed Anthony Rendon to a big contract last season. Yes, last season, before last season. Um, so now let's move on to the first round pick, as it's a tight race for first in the draft between the Orioles and the Diamondbacks. Who gets the first pick? I'm going to say Diamondbacks. Orioles, I think, will see some prospect growth. Um, but I think the Diamondbacks are just having a really tough time. So I think they get the number one pick, and that could really help them get a really nice prospect. What do you think?
I 100% agree. I believe the Diamondbacks still play the Dodgers and the Giants, and the Orioles, I think, have an easier schedule, and they're still fighting. They obviously beat the Blue Jays the last series, and while they did get destroyed one game 22-7, they still won a game during the series. So they're still fighting, and Cedric Mullins uh, and crew are much harder to beat comparatively with the Diamondbacks, who, while they still have Ketel Marte, are really just bad. So I have the Diamondbacks getting one, Baltimore getting two, and that's how I see it going.
Yep. That concludes our MLB opinions of the week. So let's make sure to check out other episodes. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.